Welcome back, everyone, to Watchdogs Family Protection Services. This is where we shine the light on corruption in our courts, in child protective services, and anywhere else where the truth has been buried under politics, favoritism, and the abuse of power. Tonight, I want to take time to let you know about the Kanawha County Courthouse at 111 Court Street, Charleston, West Virginia. That's where families like mine, and maybe families like yours, have gone seeking justice. And that's where 3 judges in particular have shown us what happens when due process gets thrown out the window. We're going to talk about Judges Tara Salango, Stephanie Abraham, and Jennifer Bailey. 3 judges, 3 different courtrooms, but the same exact pattern. They dismiss the case, silence the evidence, and make sure the truth never gets heard. And as always, I say, no judge, no corrupt CPS worker, no prosecutor, and no guardian ad litem is above the law. Judge Tara Salango's, let's start with Judge Tara Salango. About 2.5 years ago, I filed a grandparents' rights in West Virginia. Law gives grandparents the right to petition. The legislature knew the grandparents can be for a lifetime caught up in abuse, neglect, and custody battles, and stepped forward to be that lifetime for the grandparents. But what did Judge Salango do? She combined my case with my son's, and then she dismissed it. She didn't hear from me. She didn't hear from my witnesses. She didn't even let me get one word on the record. The United States Supreme Court in Goldberg versus Kelly, 1970, said due process means notice of a meaningful opportunity to be heard. Later in Matthews versus Eldridge, 1976, the court explained that due process requires balancing the importance of the interest at stake, the risk of unfair procedures, and the government's role. In Salango's courtroom, none of that mattered. My granddaughter's voice, my role as a grandparent were erased. That's not justice. It's the opposite of what a courtroom is supposed to be. Judge Stephanie Abraham. When Judge Salango recused, my case ended up in front of Judge Stephanie Abraham. You'd think a new judge might mean a new chance. Maybe someone would finally say, hey, let's hear the evidence. Let's give the grandparents his day in court. But Judge Abraham followed the same playbook. No hearing, no testimony, and she dismissed it. The United States Supreme Court in Oliver, 1948, ruled that secret trials and decisions without hearings violate due process. West Virginia laws gives grandparents standing to petition, yet Abraham denied that right without ever opening the courtroom door. Silencing me meant silencing my granddaughter. That kind of dismissal isn't neutrality, it's injustice. When judges rubber stamp cases like this, it doesn't just harm one family. It sends a message. Don't bother. We won't hear you. That's how trust is in the system dies. Judge Jennifer Bailey now, let's move to Jennifer Bailey. My petition landed in her hands, and what did she do? She sat on it for 8 months, nothing. It took me filing a writ of Mirandus, asking a higher court to force her to act, just to get her attention. And when it happened, something shocking occurred. All 8 circuit court judges in Kanawha County tried to recuse themselves from my cases, every single one. In my opinion, the reason was simple. They didn't want my evidence produced because if it were introduced, it would debunk the false narrative they had been presented. They wanted to protect themselves and their friends, even if it meant silencing me and suppressing my granddaughter's voice. This is not justice. This is outright corruption. And how did Bailey respond? She dismissed my petition with prejudice. That means she didn't want to just throw it out. She tried to make sure it could never come back. Again, no hearing, no evidence, no testimony. Supreme Court in Caperton versus A.T. Massey Cole in 2009 said judges must step aside when there's even the appearance of bias. The West Virginia Code of Judicial Conduct requires judges to avoid improperly and its appearance. But Bailey embraced bias instead. She protected CPS and the Gales rather than protecting children, holding a case for 8 months, ignoring motions and dismissing after a writ is not impartial. It's not impartial justice. It's a cover-up. Federal lawsuit. And let me be clear about something right now. I do have a federal lawsuit against judges Tara Salango, Stephanie Abraham, and Jennifer Bailey under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 for depriving me of my constitutional rights under the code of law or under the color of law. Now they want to twist that lawsuit into something it's not. They try to say it's just fighting for grandparents' rights, like this is it's only about custody, but that's not the truth. My federal lawsuit has nothing to do with custody. It has nothing to do with my granddaughter's placement. It's about how these judges individually and collectively suppressed my motions, ignored my filings, and dismissed my case without ever letting me be heard. It's about how they work together to protect their own reputations, their past decisions, and their friends in the system instead of following the Constitution. This is the classic red herring. They divert, distract, and deflect because they know if the truth ever comes out, their conduct will be exposed for what it is, a coordinated effort to suppress justice. They are sneaky, well-versed in legal maneuvering, and determined to protect their public persona at all costs. But no matter how many diversions they create, the truth remains my rights were violated under the color of law. And that's why I fight. Judges covering for colleagues. And here's another harsh reality we learned. You would think that every time your case gets transferred to another judge, that new judge would take the time to examine the decision of the previous judge and develop their own independent opinion. That doesn't work. But nothing could be further from the truth. Instead, the new judges make it clear right away that they are not going to overrule another judge's decision. That leaves you, the innocent parent or the grandparent, the family member with absolutely no hope. Rather than following the laws of the land, rather than dedicating themselves to justice, these judges choose to protect their colleagues. They choose to cover up wrongdoing instead of exposing it. And that's why the corruption doesn't just continue, it multiplies. So here's what we have. 3 judges, 3 dismissals, not one chance for a grandparent or a child to have their day in court. Salango, Abraham, and Bailey, they have proven case after case that due process doesn't apply inside their courtrooms. But I'm here tonight to say it does apply. Our Constitution doesn't stop at the courthouse doors. As Marbury versus Madison, 1803, established, courts exist to say what the law is, not to ignore it. As Cleveland Board of Education versus Ludemill, 1985, confirmed, due process means the opportunity to be heard at a meaningful time and in a meaningful manner. Families like mine, never get that chance. And here's what makes it worse. These judges have no appreciation for justice and no care for the devastating effects their conduct has on families like mine and families like yours. No conscience, no class. They are intelligent individuals. They know the law. They can't hide behind their ignorance. This is deliberate, purposeful, premeditated. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely premeditated. They are committing crimes against citizens and, more importantly, against children, suppressing evidence before it's presented, dismissing cases before they're heard. That's courtroom. That is corruption at its core. When all 8 judges band together, it's not coincidence. It's protection, shielding their colleagues, shielding CPS, shielding Gales, and denying families their constitutional right to be heard. Let me be clear. Many of you listening have experienced the same disrespect. This problem is not local, it's national. It's worldwide. Judges and officials don't care about being caught because there is no accountability. What happens when they dismiss cases is frivolous, when they shield false narratives. Our cases drag on for years. Our families suffer. Our children suffer. CPS acts like they own our children. And because of the constant disappointment, most people give up. Along the way, families face financial devastation. The courts couldn't care less. They treat us like criminals just for protecting our children. No respect at all for our families. No respect at all. Sacrifices were made, and that's why this fight matters. But that's exactly why we fight. When they close doors, when they try to bury evidence, when they protect their friends instead of protecting children, it's up to us to stand up and speak out. To every judge, to every CPS worker, every prosecutor, every guardian ad litem hiding behind immunity procedure, all the walls of 111 Court Street, we see you, we hear you, and we will not be silenced. Our fight is bigger than one family. It's about every citizen's right to due process. It's about ensuring the next parent, the next grandparent, the next child gets the fairness the Constitution promises. We're not going to stop. We keep shining the light. We'll keep speaking the truth. And together, we will hold them accountable. And until real accountability comes, they will keep doing this. That's why we desperately need both the Supreme Court and our federal courts to take our complaints seriously. We need accountability. We need transparency. Without it, our family courts will keep operating in the shadows, free from oversight and free from justice. And until that happens, that day happens, we as innocent citizens, as parents, as grandparents, as families, will continue to be abused. This is why Watchdogs and Protection Services exists, to keep speaking the truth until the system changes, until the courts are forced to answer to the people they claim to serve. Thank you for listening, and this is Watchdogs for Protection Services. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and stay in the fight. The problem we're having is, I see a lot of people giving up. I get texts from people all the time, and they eventually give up, and I can understand why. You go to court as a family member, I as a grandparent, being optimistic, thinking you're going to be treated fairly in the court system, and you're treated every way but that. You are accused of things you would never do, and they're serious about it. They actually try it without a trial. They accuse you of things and they convict you of things with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Zero evidence. So what are we supposed to do? The average person, they don't have that kind of money. Every time these people delay a case or dismiss a case, we have to go back out and refile that case. That case costs money. The appellate court, when you appeal an appellate court, that could be over $600 just for an appellate case, per case. I have like 8 different cases, and just about every single case I've had dismissed without even going to court. They call them frivolous. Are you kidding me? First of all, how can you call something frivolous if you've never entertained it? It doesn't even make any sense. So they're looking for different ways to avoid giving us our constitutional right to a fair trial. And enough is enough. It's beyond out of control. Our children are suffering. There's a lot of us that have our children in homes that they're suffering really bad. They're being abused in these homes. And CPS and the guardian ad litem and the judges, no, they don't care. They only care about the placement. They don't care about the individual that the child was taken from at all. It doesn't matter if you're accused. It doesn't matter if you're guilty of anything or not. If you are not the guardian of that child, you are treated like pure dirt, like you do not exist. And our complaints are valid. They are valid. I mean, I went to Liam's place to visit my granddaughter. Something as simple as that. It's a controlled environment. They have cameras in every corner. For them to go into court, ex parte, by the way, and make accusations, and for Judge, Tara Salango to even accept them, and then to produce those and to utilize those to tell me that I have to continue with supervised visitation is outrageous. It really is. They're punishing good parents like myself, good grandparents, for fighting with them. And what are we supposed to do? Exactly what are we supposed to do? I asked them that question. What would you do if someone took your child away under these circumstances? You would use all your power, all your influence, all your money, and all your time to get your child back. Well, we're no different than you. We're human beings. We love we're not farm animals. We're not a dog where you take one of our puppies away from a litter. We're human beings. We grow attachments, and we want to love our children. And being a grandparent, to me, is such a privilege. For them to reduce my visitation with my granddaughter, just do the math on it. I get to see her 2 hours a month, every other week for 1 hour. If you do the math on that, that's 24 hours a year. I get to see my granddaughter a combined time of 1 day a year. And they're trying to take that away. I mean, how much more vicious can you be to do something like that to a grandparent who was loving, was in their life since the day they were born, big time. My granddaughter, she lived next door to me. I saw her just about every single day her entire life. And I'm reduced to 1 day a year. And they make out like that crumb, that little crumb they're giving me is a privilege I ought to be appreciative for. I mean, come on. Come on. You know, this has to stop. We have these judges out here, they're running amok. They're hiding behind the protection of immunity, which I'm telling you right now, they've got it backwards. You do not get immunity when you are breaking the laws. The problem we're having is we can't get that argument before a judge and a jury to show that they're breaking the laws. So how exactly are we supposed to fight these cases when they don't even let you, they allow you to file your case. Oh, they'll take your money for that. But at the end of the day, the judges will turn your case down without you even showing up to court, claiming immunity. Who's immune? Nobody's immune. Not completely. If you break the law, you are accountable. I don't care if the president broke the law, he's going to be accountable. If the governor broke the law, he's going to be accountable. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone has a form of accountability, and we should. As adults, you should be responsible for your actions. That's why we have jails. That's how you show your responsibility, by going to jail. Of course, it's forced at that time, but still, you're responsible for your actions. So at the end of the day, you know, I'd like for our viewers to understand that I know it's hard. It's a very difficult journey, but you got to hang in. You got to hang in there, man. You got to hang in there. You know, we've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and we have yet to win even one argument in court. Not even one argument. Why? Because we haven't been able to present any testimony, any evidence. How are you going to win an argument if you're not allowed to talk in court? How is that? How are you going to win an argument when the judges are prejudging your case long before you even get into that court? You could tell just by the tone. You could tell just by the tone. I mean, I had Judge Ballard himself in open court tell me, you don't have any rights. That's on my transcript. This is coming from the Chief Justice. You don't have any rights. You know, to tell you the truth, he was being honest. It might have been a Freudian slip, but he's actually being, from his standpoint, I really don't have any rights. And when they decided as a collective unit, all 8 judges from the 8th Circuit in Charleston, West Virginia, decided to try to recuse themselves as a whole. How much more evidence do you need to show conspiracy, to show this is a RICO? This is RICO. There is no doubt about it. You have the guardian litigants, you have the CPS workers, you have the attorneys, you have the judges, all in on it. And you can tell. It's obvious, man. I could have figured this out when I was 10 years old. They're not even shy about it. The reason not shy about it because there is no accountability. Believe me, if there was accountability, if these judges were to lose their bench or be severely punished for their conduct, same with CPS workers, we would not have this. And that's one of the things that Alex Mayer, the new secretary of CPS right now, made it clear during these meetings that I went to over in Huntington. He made it clear he's going to try and make his employees accountable. Really? Really? I haven't seen any accountability at all. In fact, I saw the opposite. He himself orchestrated removing the CPS worker who was going to recommend to the judge in open court reunification with my granddaughter and my son. He got replaced. like 2 months before court, he got replaced with the CPS worker who recommended the exact opposite. Termination of parental rights. And what do you think they did? They terminated my son's rights. At the time, we both had visitation every week, 52 weeks a year. Now we get it twice a month. So they punished the parents, they punished the grandparents. You know, what is the sense in having a petition to fill out as a grandparent if it's never going to be heard? You know, the law doesn't state we have the right to file a petition. The law says we have the right to be heard. And we're not getting that. I understand the concept of being discouraged. I happen to be the type of person that doesn't get discouraged quickly. In fact, I will never give up on my granddaughter. It's impossible. I will do this till the day I pass away, if that comes down to it. There's no way in the world, and this isn't about winning and losing. This is about putting my granddaughter in a position where I feel she's safer, and she would be safer. And that's my job, and that's your job. And you've been doing it, so don't let these people discourage you. I know it's discouraging. It's very costly, both financially and emotionally, but you got to hang in there, man. You just got to hang in there. So my prayer is to, you know, try and get the situation fixed where our higher government gets involved and takes this thing seriously. So hopefully my federal lawsuit will promote that. You know, if it doesn't, I really don't know where to go from there, but it's an important point. But I'm taking everything step at a time. I'm not going to assume anything, although based on my experiences with the circuit court, that's a complete disaster. You're not going to win at 111 Court Street. You're not going to win in your courthouse at the circuit level. You're just not, because all your cases are being predetermined long before you get in that courtroom. You know that, and I know that. In fact, when I interview people, I don't even have to ask them. I already know the answers to the questions. Most of my questions to my interviewers or to my interviewees are rhetorical because it's systemic. The problem we're having with the court system is systemic. So that's really the reason Watchdogs, you know, was comprised. We decided that we couldn't get help from the local news. They want nothing to do with anything that has to do with corruption with the family court. Neither did like the news stations. So I opened up Watchdogs. We're a legal entity, and I felt that was the only choice I had. So my back's to the wall. So is yours. But try not to get discouraged. If you do feel like you're getting discouraged, just call 304-205-3869. That's my personal number. You can call me anytime. 304-205-3869. If you want to come on my podcast and have an interview, you could do it where your face is shown or not. And that's important. You know, our viewers need to see that there are other people out there that are suffering from the exact same turmoil at the circuit court level. So call me anytime you like, 304-205-3869. I would love to have you on my podcast. You can make comments. You know, it's important for our movement. So, that being said, I just want to reiterate, which I try to do on every single one of my podcasts, that we're not anti-family court. We are not anti-CPS. We are pro-justice. Thank you.